Xbox calls out PlayStation regarding their Call of Duty comments and their third-party exclusive deals, and talks a little bit more about the Activision Blizzard deal. There's a lot here to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everybody is doing well, and if you could do me a huge favor, make sure you hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and share this out on social media. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Well, it's certainly been an interesting week when talking about the Activision Blizzard deal and what other parties think about it, especially how Sony PlayStation views the deal and how they might feel a little bit scared, a little bit threatened, a little bit worried about the idea of Microsoft in full control of a franchise that they said has no rival, is indescribable, etc., and putting it day one into a subscription service that Sony tried to argue to Brazilian regulators might be anti-competitive in the future against them, since they like to sell things for $70. It got real spicy, and you'd love to see it. But then something interesting happened. Microsoft sort of responded to Sony's comments, even talked a little bit about their third-party deals, and said that Activision games weren't must-have, and there's nothing unique about them. Now, of course, people were laughing about this on social media, as they should, because in one hand, you have PlayStation talking up Call of Duty like it's the second coming of Jesus Christ himself. And then you have Xbox on the other hand being like, it's just like every other game on the Xbox store. It's not a big deal. It's like a $3 game. It's an indie game. What's the big deal? The truth in these sort of situations is usually in the middle. So let's go over all the information, discuss it, shall we? So Microsoft says, quote, specifically, with respect to Activision Blizzard video games, there is nothing unique about the video games developed and published by Activision Blizzard that is a, quote, must-have for rival PC and console video game distributors that could give rise to a foreclosure concern, read Microsoft's response to the New Zealand Commerce Commission published in a recent report from June. That means that Microsoft doesn't consider their future ownership of Activision Blizzard's franchises, such as Call of Duty, to cause issues that would prevent their rivals, among whom they identify Valve in the PC space, from competing against them. Microsoft clarified in their responses to the New Zealand Commerce Commission that they won't be withdrawing support for Activision Blizzard games from platforms that aren't their own Xbox and Microsoft Store. That's already been borne out by the upcoming reappearance of the Call of Duty series on Steam with October's Modern Warfare 2. I will say, there is something inherently funny about the idea of Microsoft, who literally just spent or is going to spend essentially $70 billion on Activision Blizzard, coming out after Sony said they can't live without Call of Duty. And that if Microsoft were to do those things, it could be anti-competitive, woe is me, by saying that, hey, Call of Duty, Diablo, all these games that Activision's making, there's nothing unique about them. It ain't must-have. It is funny at face value, and you have to wonder, well, why is Sony saying one thing, and why is Microsoft saying another? And then it all comes down to, well, you gotta remember who exactly they're talking to. You see, Sony doesn't want this Xbox Activision deal merger to go through. They do not want Call of Duty to be owned by Xbox. They do not want Xbox Game Pass to gain more tractions and more subscribers, because it potentially could hurt Sony's bottom line and their business strategy moving forward. So that's why they're out there saying this might be a little bit anti-competitive. That's why they're basically blowing Call of Duty in all these reports. On the other hand, Microsoft is trying to get this deal to go through. So they're basically saying, there's nothing special about these games. And in fact, a Microsoft spokesperson reached out to them with a statement clarifying what the company meant by, quote, must-have. Must-have is a legal term of art and not a statement about the value we place on Activision Blizzard's gaming portfolio. We love every one of their games and have enormous admiration and respect for the creative talent behind them. Microsoft's choice of words underscores its challenges convincing regulators around the world to let the software company, which also makes the Xbox console, to swallow the video game hitmaker. Competitor Sony, which makes the PlayStation console, has raised concerns about the proposed deal with Brazilian regulators, saying that consumers will choose a console based on whether they can play the popular Call of Duty games. Daniel Francis, a law professor at NYU and former Federal Trade Commission official, said Microsoft is likely trying to reassure regulators that other platforms will be able to compete even if they lose access to Activision's games. Quote, Microsoft will likely be arguing that a rival games console or platform does not need access to or compatibility with Activision games to remain competitive. And there you have the truth. The reason Microsoft is using such language is nothing unique, and there isn't anything must-have about their games, is this language used to regulators to try to make sure the deal goes through. Because Microsoft is arguing that Call of Duty in these games aren't anything special, that you can still compete against them if you don't have them on your platform. And they're right. I mean, look at recent history. The Nintendo Switch is the best-selling console right now. It's going to outsell the PlayStation 4. It's probably going to sell more than the PS5. And I couldn't tell you when the last time a Call of Duty game actually launched on that console. In fact, a lot of big AAA games don't come to the Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo still competes heavily with Xbox and PlayStation. And then you look on the PC side. When was the last time a Call of Duty game was actually on Steam? It's been quite some time, but that didn't stop Steam from being the #1 PC gaming marketplace out there. So we can all laugh at nothing unique and must-have, but we know why they're doing it. They want the deal to pass. They feel that it's not going to impact anything. And a lot of the other publishers, as we discussed in my previous video, saw nothing wrong with the acquisition, said that, hey, Call of Duty's got tons of competition. Valorant, Battlefield, Rainbow Six Siege, etc., etc. But Sony was the one out there basically highlighting the importance of Call of Duty and insinuating they wouldn't be able to compete with an Xbox Game Pass, Call of Duty, $10 a month, versus Sony's strategy of investing millions in games like God of War Ragnarok and selling for $70. That was what Sony was arguing, and that was why I said they felt a little bit threatened, a little bit concerned. Now, in my last video, we talked a little bit about the Reset Era thread. Well, we got the official opinions of Sony, Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, and others about this deal. Well, there was an update to it. Microsoft responded to some of these things, and they threw a little bit shade at Sony. So it says, I was taking a quick glance at the notification that Microsoft sent originally, which was 118 pages. It's almost the same as the one from New Zealand, excluding specific arguments for local markets. But I think it's funny that Microsoft throws some shade at Sony when talking about the risk of the deal blocking content from other platforms. In paragraph 285, they say, quote, Sony and Nintendo have strong and differentiated offerings, including their own exclusive titles. For example, IDC has identified that key Sony exclusive titles in 2018 include God of War and Marvel Spider-Man, in addition to other prominent titles such as Last of Us and Uncharted. These titles partially reflect Sony's vertical integration. For example, Sony Film Studio owns the rights to Spider-Man, but also its broader strategy of obtaining the rights that make, quote, third-party games exclusive to its console. In fact, in paragraph 205, they mention Final Fantasy VII as an exclusive from Sony, and surprisingly, it includes a redacted note from Microsoft. I know a lot of people like to say Phil Spencer, Microsoft, they do the whole kumbaya thing. They want to get along with everybody. But Sony is trying to screw with the Activision deal here a little bit by trying to imply to these regulators that things might be a little bit anti-competitive in the future. And it's almost like people forgot that Sony has been spending millions and millions and millions of dollars and using their leverage as the market leader over the courses of generations to get content exclusively from third parties. And I love to see Microsoft strike back in this way. It's like, oh, you're gonna talk about Call of Duty and Game Pass? Well, we're gonna make sure to mention that you do similar things by taking games that you don't own and preventing them from coming to Xbox consoles. Big one recently, Final Fantasy VII Remake, was supposed to come to Xbox. At least that was the timed exclusivity. hasn't come yet. Nobody knows why. And as this person mentions in this document, Final Fantasy VII is talked about, although it's redacted. I would love to see what is behind that black bar. I know I've said this before multiple times during this video, but there's one thing you should take away from this, is that these companies will say what they have to say to protect their business interests. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything in the comments below. And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Please share this out on social media. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to check it out. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.